Hey, what's up, guys? So in this tutorial, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna basically build the same form that we did last time. Only this time we're gonna do it the ASP.NET MVC way. So we're not changing our form view any. It's still just hello and then viewbag.name. Our controller we can see here. Here's our form controller. It basically just takes in a string parameter name, passes that to the viewbag.name property, which is what we display out here. So when we go back to our about page, which I'm just sort of using as an impromptu form page, um, this is where we're going to actually build our form. So we're going to be using Razor. Razor is really intuitive, and I actually like it a lot. It's 100,000 times better than the ASP web forms crap, and it's better than Java server pages. It's pretty intuitive. It's really smart. I actually like it a lot. So anyways, yeah, so like all Razor, we're going to be using the @ symbol. And to start a form, we're going to be using this using statement. And then this is where our form is going to go. It's going to go in here. Then we're going to call our HTML helper class. So we'll do HTML dot, and we'll do begin form. Oh, not form, format value, no. Begin form, there we go. And then this begin form method takes a few parameters. The first parameter it takes is going to be the actual view that we want to return this data to. So we're sending it to the form view, as you can see right here. And then we have to set the what controller it's on, so it's the home controller. And then we can set form method. We can go like, get or post. I'm just going to leave this blank. By default, it'll just use post always. So that's fine. It doesn't really matter. So we're just doing form, home, and all this is going to do is just create an opening and closing form for us. So if we look at that, we will see here, if we go to view page source, we will see that this form action home form. So it's not really like super useful here. Because it's just creating a form class. I mean, it's about the same amount of code, but there are a lot of useful features. And when we get later to models, there'll be definitely even more useful features of using Razor instead of like hand coding the HTML yourself. So anyways, we're going to do another HTML helper class, and this one we're just going to do the label class, or the label method actually. And so here we're just going to say enter your name, and this pretty much does what it sounds like. It's an HTML label, and it's just going to output enter your name. We're going to use another HTML class, and this one we're going to do text box. And this is I know this is really shocking. This is going to create an HTML text box. And we're just going to name the text box name. And basically this name right here is what the name value is going to be and the ID value of the text box. So whenever we refresh our page, we are going to see that we have, refresh, did I save it? Oh, I should probably save it too. Go ahead and refresh it. We'll see enter your name, and it's just a text box. And when we look at the source, it's basically what we did last time in the last tutorial, which is we just created a form, created a label, and created an input, a text input. So it's basically doing the same stuff for us. One of the last things I'll do here is we're going to put in a button. So we'll put a submit button. So we're going to put type equals submit, and we're going to say the class is going to be btn button danger, because we're going to live dangerously here. So you're like, Robert, why are you using an input? Why are you using HTML here when everything else on the screen is all entirely Razor? There is no HTML helper class for a submit button. There's for labels, for text boxes, for text areas, for all kinds of things, but no button. And I think that's pretty dumb, but there isn't. So maybe in ASP.NET MVC6, but probably not. I don't think there'll ever be a button for it, but there we go. I think that's pretty dumb myself, but whatever. So here we go. So this is basically the same exact form that we built last time. I mean, it's about the same amount of lines of code. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, Robert, this isn't very useful. It's the same amount of code, and it does exactly the same thing. Well, there are a lot of useful features. Like, let's say, I'm going to stop running this. Let's say you're worried about cross-site request forgery. So you want to make sure that there's a unique token that's only on this page and it has to get posted back, and to help fight cross-site request forgery. And if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. 99% of websites don't need to fight against CSRF. But if you're like a banking institution, you probably should, or something that you're dealing with valuable information. But whatever. Let's say you're worried about cross-site request forgery, and you want to stop against that. You can just do this. You can do HTML dot anti-forgery token, and just like that, it's going to build in for you on the page a unique string that's going to get saved on the server and on this page that has to get passed back to the form in order for it to run. So when I go back to the controller, all I have to do here is just put validate anti-forgery token. So now when I rerun this, we're going to see there's going to be this hidden field here that has this really long string in it. Let's go back to the About page, and if we go View Page Source, we're going to see here input name request verification token type hidden, and this has this really long string. Basically, it's going to post that string back to the server. So the server, when it was rendering this page, put that random string in there, and it also saved it on the server. And then it's going to check it right here and make sure that they match up. And this basically just stops CSRF. The one caveat to that, though, is, so we're going to go ahead and we'll just make sure that it works here. So I'm just going to enter my name again, and hello, Robert. The one caveat to that is that if you pass it, if you do try to pass a form by GET, it won't validate just automatically, just on general principle. It does not validate against GET queries. So if we see, even though we're passing in the request token up top, it's not going to accept that because it's not being passed in post data. So that's the only thing that you should know about that. But as you can see too, is that it's pretty easy, because implementing your own anti-forgery token is kind of a beast to do. I've done it in PHP just on my own, and some other languages, and it's just kind of a beast to do if you're not doing it with a framework. You're just coding it by hand. It's pretty annoying to do. So you will see that there are a lot of useful features, and when we get into later tutorials, we'll see how it can be even more useful than what I just showed you. So that is the tutorial on passing view data to the controller. So